For centuries, a nation's sovereignty was a matter of simple geometry. Power was defined by the physical borders drawn on a map, and independence meant absolute control over the land, water, and people within those lines. Governments guarded the physical assets that kept their countries alive. A nation's power grid, all its hospitals, and its defense logistics were locked safely behind geographic walls. But physical borders no longer contain a nation's operational reality. Today, critical functions of modern society cross oceans in milliseconds, rendering geographic defenses less effective. The arithmetic is stark. The digital infrastructure of 195 sovereign nations is now entirely dependent on an estimated 25 private technology companies. World leaders currently mistake geographic location for sovereign independence, an oversight that has created a massive collective blind spot. This chart shows the extreme concentration of global cloud infrastructure. Just 3 American companies control nearly 2/3 of the market. That concentration extends straight down to the ocean floor. Over 70% of international undersea cables are controlled by the exact same tech giants. Nations pay a steep financial toll for this setup. Europe alone sends 265 billion euros every single year to American software and cloud providers. This bottleneck is a deliberate architecture. By solving massive problems of speed and scale, these platforms became the default, creating a system where nations have traded foundational independence for efficiency. Politicians frequently rely on data residency to ensure security. Data residency tells you where a server sits physically. Sovereignty is defined by the legal authority that governs the provider, regardless of where that hardware is located. Consider a hospital operating in Frankfurt, generating highly sensitive patient records every day. To comply with local regulations, that hospital stores those records in a secure data center located a few hours away in Nuremberg. The sensitive data never physically leaves Germany. However, because the company operating that Nuremberg server is headquartered in America, the data is legally bound by the U.S. Cloud Act. The Cloud Act is a federal law that allows U.S. authorities to compel domestic companies to hand over data stored anywhere in the world. If American authorities demand those German patient records, the provider must comply. The physical location of the server becomes a secondary concern compared to the jurisdiction of the company managing it. This legal reality shifts the balance of power. By relying on these dominant providers, Europe has effectively outsourced its legal authority to a foreign jurisdiction. This architectural dependency carries hidden costs. When a provider updates its terms or a law changes in Washington, entire government workflows in Frankfurt or Sydney must adapt to new access demands. These 25 platforms optimize for what they can measure. A cloud provider sees server utilization rates and API calls, viewing living nations as a set of disaggregated metrics. What they cannot measure does not appear on their dashboards. They lack a view of a population's trust, the resilience of a small business, or the survival of a community during an emergency. The ultimate vulnerability for any country is existing only as a set of isolated fragments on a corporate dashboard. As nations wake up to this vulnerability, a global panic has set in. Governments are attempting to reclaim control by building local, isolated, sovereign clouds. This chart shows a massive capital expenditure driving this reaction. The sovereign cloud market is projected to grow by 35% annually, reaching $80 billion by 2026. This strategy faces significant hurdles. No individual country can easily replicate the raw speed and efficiency of global hyperscalers. Hyperscalers are massive tech companies that provide computing and storage infrastructure on a global industrial scale. Attempting to outbuild global giants by duplicating servers is a costly and difficult construction project. It focuses on physical hardware, while the actual challenge remains one of coordination. The work ahead is one of connection. The infrastructure is already there, and the data is already in motion. We have an opportunity to link these existing platforms together rather than attempting the impossible task of replacing them. When a nation's hospitals, utilities, and schools map their own data on their own terms, these isolated fragments resolve into a whole. Sovereignty is preserved by making the nation's truth visible to itself. To thrive in this environment, the 25 tech giants must evolve. They need to transition from acting as controlling platforms to serving as the foundational protocols that allow nations to express their own truth. Digital sovereignty is achieved through understanding, not isolation. By connecting what is already there, a nation can finally see itself whole and move past the cycle of solving toward a state of completion.